It's Vance Honeycutt. And Reese, I know you're a big Honeycutt guy. I know that I have some reservations about Honeycutt. So my first question to you, sir, is long term, is Vance going to be sweet like honey, or is he someone we're going to want to cut?
I think he's gonna be sweet like honey. I love Vance Honeycutt. I think I've made it very well known, especially in our own internal discussions, that I think Vance Honeycutt has a chance to be a star. It's just the 99th percentile outcome. When you do the whole graph and everything like that of what his outcomes are, they can be pretty drastic. He has everything. He is a supercharged Dylan Beavers, and that's why he got a 50 instead of a 45. He's the first 50 in the system, which means we think that he can be at the we kind of think in the middle projection. He's a league average starter. He's got plus raw power. He's a really good defensive center fielder. I mean, during his time at UNC, he was just robbing home runs left, right, and center. Like it seemed like there was a diving play every game. And maybe there's a little bit of he relies on the flash a little bit more. But I think that as he develops as a professional, he'll learn to rely on the speed and rely that we put as a double plus. Like shout out to Tyler, our draft lead. He kind of killed it with this report. He does acknowledge that there is a lot of issues with aggressive chase in the zone. I think that's the big issue is if you can dial that back a little bit. This is the ultimate gamble by the Orioles because they're in a point where they need to start taking high upside swings. And I don't think there's a higher upside swing in the draft than what Vance Honeycutt provided them. He could be if the hit tool gets to be average, which we have it projected as a 40, which is below average, which kind of means he's going to hit 220, 230 in our own scouting lexicon. If he hits 240, I think this guy's a chance to be a legitimate star.
Yeah, I love what you have to say about Honeycutt because it is so positive and it's ticking again on that 99th percentile. I think that I called him in my FYPD reports a man of multitudes because I don't ever really completely know how to take Honeycutt. First and foremost, an absolute tool chest. I feel like whether it is again, like you said, the jaw dropping defense in center field, it's the incredible kind of just natural speed. It's very effortless speed with Honeycutt. Tyler said it though, the whiff, the chasing, he needs to lift the ball more. And while you're right that for the Orioles, he was a lottery ticket, a high upside type thing that they need to take these types of picks, I don't think it's fair to consider Honeycutt a lottery ticket in your FYPDs because, kind of as you alluded to, Reese, it's going to take catastrophic occurrence for him not to be a major league contributor. But now, at what level is still to be determined. I think 95th percentile outcome, and so that, again, you guys at home, if you're not sure what I'm saying, nearly everything ticks right for Honeycutt as he develops. We could be looking at something like prime Starling Marte, which, 20 home runs, 40 stolen bases, maybe plus in both of those categories. Definitely somebody you need to target in dynasty leagues. I really think this is a good player, but if the hit tool, if the hit tool does not come around, it could flame out very, very quickly. But much like things that flame out, a firework, for instance, he could also be very beautiful and provide a lot of entertainment, a lot of joy for people.
He very much could. He's very volatile, and I think you talk about in an FYPD, which for those that don't know, it's a first year player draft. It's in dynasty leagues. It's all the guys that are just got drafted and everything like that. You kind of have to take him pretty highly, and it's a very
Mm-hmm.
risky profile. But I do think that it's the sort of profile that you should chase. I do think that it's a team. Obviously, the Orioles thought it was good enough to chase, so they gave him good money too. He $4 million. I just the more I think about it, these are the sorts of prospects I would love to be wrong. I'm okay being wrong on because they have so many other tools that allow them to contribute. I'd rather miss on this than miss on the hitability guy who doesn't hit enough, like the Keston Hiura's sort of types. I'd rather miss on Vance Honeycutt, who could fall backwards into being a Harrison Bader type of player.
Yeah, well said. There are so many different. Again, if I can make this joke that I'll make 10,000 times and at least once per episode, he has so many paths to the show. There's so many different avenues that Honeycutt's skill set could play into major league relevance, and so I think that that's doubly interesting for a player with as much upside as Vance Honeycutt has. And again, he's a tool shed. There's tons of power, good power, tons of speed, I should say. Great in the outfield. Reese, I was so out on Honeycutt. I told myself that he was just so inconsistent through his college season that if he didn't impress me in his first game in Omaha, in 2024, I was completely done. I was going to be for sure the lowest guy in industry on him. And what does he do but save the game in the ninth inning with a beautiful catch? And I was like, you got me.